My name's Allen Schneider. I paint goalie helmets for a living for youth, college, and professional goalies. Goalie mask because I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio playing goalie, and I have always had an interest for art, but I was also always told that you can't make a living being an artist. So I said, well, how can I make a living being an artist? And I said, well, these goalie helmets are pretty cool. And I'll never forget when I was 7 years old, I got a poster from my parents that had goalie helmets on it, and every team in the NHL had their goalie helmet that their goalie was wearing at the time and how it was painted. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And from that point on, I was literally like, I want to paint goalie helmets for a living. I think it was like 2011. I was sitting on a lawnmower cutting grass for a golf course. I had already graduated college. I was like, this is the worst. I was like, I cannot do this the rest of my life. It's like, I have an art degree, what can I do? I've always wanted to paint goalie helmets. So I contacted the guy who actually painted my helmet when I played college hockey, sitting on the lawnmower. I pulled over when my boss couldn't see me, and I called him and I said, hey, I'm in Columbus. Can I come up to Cleveland for a week, and can you teach me how to paint goalie helmets? And sure enough, he said, yeah. So I went up there for a week, and he sort of taught me how to paint goalie helmets. And then I got back to Columbus, and I sort of told my wife, I'm like, listen, I think I'm going to quit my job and start doing this. And she was like, okay. Before I started painting goalie helmets, I lived in Columbus. I was also a goalie coach, and I worked with probably 50 different goalie families that really, really trusted me and really liked me. First helmet I ever did was for a goalie family in Columbus who I'd worked with their older son and their younger son, and I was pretty good friends with the dad, and he was like, oh, yeah, you're starting to paint helmets? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. And he's like, well, you can paint my two kids' helmets because you've done so much for them over the past 4 years. I'm like, all right. So I took those, and the one was for the Columbus Capitals, and the other one was for his older son who was actually going to play for my old coach in Cleveland. So I thought that was real cool. So one of the first ones I ever did was actually a Cleveland Lumberjacks helmet, which was pretty cool because that's where I grew up playing at. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Painting helmets for Ohio State was where my alma mater is like, that's one of the greatest honors ever. I think the coolest feeling about painting goalie helmets is when you're watching like the Frozen Four. For example, Ohio State 2 years ago was in the Frozen Four, and their goalie's helmet, was on TV, and that's definitely one of the best feelings. And last year, Western Michigan had a really good season, so they were playing some games that were televised, and seeing those helmets on TV was pretty awesome. I painted a helmet up there for Chris Nell, who was in the New York Rangers system. Just painting that NHL logo on a helmet too, knowing that have the opportunity to do a team in the NHL is pretty remarkable too, especially like an original six team like the Rangers, which is pretty awesome.